That's the sound of a big deal. At Wayfair, that sound happens a lot. Dream sofa for half the price? Big deal. New dining table you've been eyeing for months? Big deal. Finally picking up those last few pieces and finishing that bedroom? Now that's a really big deal. Whatever your home needs, Wayfair has the selection, the savings, and over millions of 5-star reviews to back it up. Shop Wayfair.com today before someone else snags your big deal.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
This is Rob Chappell, and it's 365 Amplified for Friday, March 13th. My son's 16th birthday is today, which also means it's the 6th anniversary of the day the schools shut down for the pandemic. You remember that? That was wild times. Doesn't it seem like a really long time ago? If you're like me, you sort of like blocked those couple of weeks out of your memory, but it's also all very vivid if you think about it for a second. Anyway, that's a side thing. We want to talk about today a few news items, and then we'll have Lorenzo Santos from Racine here. He's running for Congress against Brian Stile there in southeastern Wisconsin. But before we get to that, we learned over the weekend on Saturday that a friend of the show, Mike Hernandez, has been named the superintendent of public schools in Green Bay. You might know that name. If you've been around 365 for a while, you know that name. He's been on many panels at our various events. He came to Madison to be principal of East High School. No, that's wrong. He came to Madison to become a principal at one of the elementary schools, and I am not remembering which one right now. But he spent the bulk of his time in Madison as the principal at Madison East High School. Then he became the chief of secondary schools in the district office for a couple of years, and then he moved on to become the assistant superintendent at the Appleton Area School District, which he's been for the past several years, and now he is the top dog in Green Bay. So many congratulations to Mike. We will talk with him and do a little bit more in depth. He's going to take on that role officially on July 1st. He replaces the interim superintendent who's retiring, and he's got, I think, big plans for Green Bay. Another news item that Omar reported on this week at Meriter Hospital. You might remember the nurses there had some labor actions. I don't think they can technically go on strike, but they did do some slowdowns. They did do a day or two of strike action, and they ended up getting a wage increase and some concessions regarding workplace safety. Well, now at Meriter, the service employees are asking for some improvements. The Service Employees International Union is pushing Meriter to get the service and support employees, which are not the medical staff, but which are really, really important to the running of a hospital. They want to get them to the same wage and to the same number of days off as the nurses. They get fewer days off, fewer pay time off days than the nurses do. And they want to get that equivalent. Their argument is we are exposed to many of the same things, and we deserve to be equivalent with the nurses. Also, they're pushing for everybody to get MLK Day as a paid holiday, which the hospital does not provide right now. So they had a press conference earlier this week, and I don't think they've really started talking about work slowdowns, work stoppages, strikes, that kind of thing yet. But they're making their desires known, which is very early stages of trying to push Meriter to get the service employees basically on equivalent footing with the nursing staff when it comes to wages and paid time off. I will link to that, to Omar's story on that in the show notes, and we will keep tabs on that as the negotiations go forward. Looking ahead now to March 26th, it's the Madison Black Chamber of Commerce Eras Ball, which is the 8th annual fundraiser and awards event where they're going to honor 7 of their members. I spoke with Camille Carter, the president of the Madison Black Chamber, and she's very, very excited about this event. The theme, as the name suggests, the Eras Ball, it's kind of looking back and looking forward, right? It's celebrating the last 10 years or so. The Madison Black Chamber started in 2013, so a little more than 10 years ago, but it took them a few years to really get traction. And over the past 10 years, they've really ramped up. They've done Restaurant Week now for 10 years, and they've done this awards show now for 10 years, this will be the 8th for almost 10 years. So they're going to have actually at this event on March 26th down at Monadnock Terrace. It starts at 4:30. This kind of a networking and cocktail hour and a half or so. Then there'll be dinner, and then there'll be the awards, and then they got DJ Fusion coming for the nightcap of dancing and fun. But during the event, they're going to have sort of like a museum exhibit of like the history of the Black Chamber and of Black entrepreneurship in Madison, which I think will be very cool. And then during the dinner program part of it, they will give away some awards. As I mentioned, 7 awards. They're going to give away a Community Impact Award, Creative Spark Award, Legacy Builder, Resilient Pillar, Rising Star, Social Impact Advocacy, and Youth Entrepreneurial Award. Those will be handed out at that time. And then also there's going to be a panel of powerhouse women business owners. Camille Carter herself will be on that panel. And also joining her will be Myra McNair from Anesis Therapy, the founder there, Dora Monroe, the CEO of Class A Cleaning, and Dawn Adams from Foster Funeral Services, all Black-owned businesses, all women business owners. So that'll be a really enlightening and probably very inspirational panel. This is the major fundraising event for the Madison Black Chamber. Their goal is to raise $75,000 through selling tickets and sponsorships and stuff. Tickets are $175 if you're not a member of the chamber, but if you are, it's $150. There's also going to be a sort of a vendor's market, so you can do some shopping there too with Black-owned businesses. Everything from from soaps and lotions and self-care products to jewelry to services, insurance agents and things. They're just going to be networking. So it's a great opportunity, whether you're a member of the chamber, but to do some networking with sort of the grassroots of Madison's Black-owned business community. And that story, the preview of that with the link to register and to buy your tickets and everything is up at madison365.org this morning on Friday as you're listening to this. Last thing I'll mention before we get to Lorenzo Santos, I mentioned last week that I was writing a preview of the For Madison season. I put that up on Monday, so it's been out for a couple of weeks. I'll link to it anyway. But I also have an episode of my soccer podcast, 608 Soccer, out with a season preview discussion with Mark Segbergs, who is one of the new players, one of the 16 new players we have on a roster of 17. He's a Badger alum, so he's back to Madison. He played here for the Badgers from 2014 to 17, and he's had a pro career since then, mostly in the second division in the USL Championship. And this is his first foray in the third division. So he's going to be one of the more sort of veteran leaders on the team. Most of the rest of he's 29. Most of the rest of the team is like under 24. So we had a really good conversation with him about the team and about how they're gelling together and what we can expect to see on the field. The other thing that we learned this week is that the club has signed Kevin Flores to academy contract. There's a rule in the USL, in the United Soccer League, and in most leagues, that you can sign young players to a contract, so they will suit up for games, they'll practice and they'll train with the first team, but they don't get paid. They just get the experience, and that gives them that sort of professional experience while maintaining their NCAA eligibility. All right, so we've had at least one or two academy kids for the last several years. Kevin Flores, he's a goalkeeper. He's 17. He's from Sun Prairie. He's the first academy contract that Fort Madison has coming from their own academy. Right? They just started their youth and academy program last year, and he's the first player to really, bubble up out of it, to stand out enough that he's going to suit up with the first team. So that's very, very cool for him. And it's cool for the club too, honestly. One of the rules is you can only bring 6 reserve players, or seven. You can bring 7 backup players when you have a game. You have 11 that start, and then you can have 7 on the bench. And besides those 7, you can have 2 more academy contract kids. So you can actually bring a third goalkeeper in this case. I don't think he'll get a lot of playing time in competitive matches, but to be in practice every day with those guys and to get that professional level of coaching and professional level of development, very, very cool opportunity for him. All right, again, we'll put a link to that season preview and to the 608 Soccer episode in the show notes, so take a look at that. The season starts tomorrow, and I am so excited. It's been a long, long winter with no football. Fort Madison plays at Knoxville Saturday night, 6 o'clock. All right, we're going to take a short pause. We're going to, and we'll be back with Lorenzo Santos after this word from Madison College.
I feel like Madison College is way more convenient. Like, you don't have to worry about tuition costs or like housing or like a meal plan. You just do that all yourself. You can save money by doing that. My first semester, I got a feel of what it was. Like, the people were nice, my instructors were nice, I made a lot of new friends, and they understood my situation with my son, and they were helping me with other resources. The future I see for me and my son is more supported with Madison College.
And joining us now from Racine, Wisconsin. Do you say Racine or Racine?
Racine.
Racine, okay. All right. Lorenzo Santos, how you doing, sir?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for being here. Thanks for jumping on. I know it's busy. You are running for Congress in the 1st District, which is the seat currently held by Brian Steele, and formerly held by Paul Ryan. And, it's been it's been a Republican stronghold for a long time. You're running in a very crowded Democratic primary field. Do you feel like this is the year that the Democrat can take that seat?
I do.
That you can take that seat?
Absolutely, I do. We've seen a lot, and I think more bluntly, we've seen enough. This administration and the enabling GOP, which includes Brian Steele, they've been forwarding policies that just show, frankly, they're out of their minds. They're not paying attention to what everyday Americans are going through. They don't know, how to represent everyday working families. And, the fact that they've forwarded policies like tariffs that at the end of the day are just a sales tax on the end consumer, and also are putting us in a war, which frankly also raises costs. It just doesn't make any sense. And there's no end to the chaos that this administration is causing.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like it's going to be the midterm is always favors the party that's not in the White House, but it feels like there's some momentum for even a better year than usual in 2028. Is that are you feeling that out on the campaign trail?
I think that's exactly right. Historically, the party that does not have the White House does tend to do better during the midterms. But the party that doesn't forward policies that hurts everyday Americans, would tend to do better as
Yeah.
well. And this administration, in Brian's style, just rubber stamping everything they're trying to do. Whether it be these tariffs that are a sales tax on everyday Americans, whether it be the SAVE Act and this Make Elections Great Again Act, which also disenfranchises voters, whether it be the immigration, the draconian immigration policies that they continue to forward that have no basis in reality or humanity, for that fact. For all those reasons, this administration and this GOP Congress, they're going to face a reckoning, well-deserved one. And I think we're going to start to see a huge wave, and the first district of Wisconsin will be a part of that.
I want to get back to some of those policy issues, but also I just want to get to know you a little bit, your background. How long have you're from Virginia, is that right?
Well, I'm from
Originally?
all over. My dad was I was a military brat. My dad was in the Navy for 34 years, so I've moved all across the country. I got to live in Japan as a child, so
cool.
I've lived all over, moved every 3 to 4 years. Wisconsin is the longest place I've ever lived, my entire life. So it's certainly home, and I've made downtown Racine my home since I moved here.
And how long ago was that?
I moved here. Funny enough, I moved here in 2018, same year Brian Style took office and started just showing how bad his judgment was from day one.
You arrived just in time, and you I understand did you recently leave the county?
So I'm still with the county right now.
Okay.
My hometown county, Racine County, as an emergency manager. But I will be stepping down in April to run for this office full time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you have been for a few years now. You've been the director of emergency management. How has the Trump administration, especially like the funding and the whatever is happening at FEMA and stuff, has that trickled down to the county level?
So this administration, they have shown on every occasion that they have the opportunity that they just do not understand government at a fundamental level. The fact that they are defunding FEMA or trying to eliminate FEMA altogether, and they're saying that states are responsible for disasters. We already knew that. We were already doing that. But at the end of the day, that federal funding is what allows states to do what they need to do.
Right.
And without that funding, every county is in a position where they have to figure out where that funding will come from. And here's something they have to understand. Not every state is treated equal when it comes to their budgets. So California, one of the largest economies in the world, may be able to absorb that hit and that loss of federal funding differently than, say, a Maine or a New Hampshire or a Montana. So, for Donald Trump to just kind of arbitrarily say everyone's got to figure it out, it doesn't make sense. It's not grounded in any practical governance, but that's, par for the course for this administration. So it's going to hurt local emergency management. And we've seen that, whether it be the Department of Education, they don't understand how that works, but they've been defunding our schools as much as they can. They've been defunding public health. And yes, it has hurt local emergency management. Even to this day, there were about 4 or 5 courses that I was supposed to go to in the past few months that have been canceled because of whether it be the shutdown that we had in October or the DHS shutdown that we see now. So it is harming everyone across the board. It is making us less ready. And when we just started a war that we should not be in, why is the Department of Homeland Security in a place that we're not funded? Frankly, it's because Democrats gave the Trump administration very simple requests, and that's to hold ICE to the same standards that we hold our professional law enforcement at the local level. Law enforcement at the local level, they face the same danger and they face the same hardships but they don't cover their faces. They don't go around acting without judicial warrants. They make sure that they have their body cameras on and that they're held to a certain standard. We can always do better, but ICE should not be this wholesale quasi military force that's basically the same. Or it's actually larger. It's larger than all our federal law enforcement agencies combined. It's kind of a quasi military force. We asked for very simple things to make sure that DHS is funded, and that's why currently, in order to hold this administration accountable, DHS can't be funded. But that's hurting folks, and it's ultimately the GOP that is answerable to that.
You brought up ICE, and I was going to ask you on your personal Facebook page, the top post right now says ICE must be abolished. There's a lot of Democrats running for office who are kind of who maybe feel the way you feel about ICE and about the immigration crackdown, but are a little bit nervous to say abolish ICE. Yeah. I mean, what makes you feel like that's actually the right message, or is it not even a message thing? You just think that's the right thing to do?
Yeah, it's not even close. This administration, frankly, they show at every level that they have no ability to be responsible with power. And, if you have a law enforcement agency that is now, the size of some of our military services in scope and in budget, and you've taken away meaningful mission sets from the FBI, they're worried about immigration when they should be worried about terrorism, especially when we potentially face a terrorist threat because we decided to go and start another war.
Yeah.
We probably should be funding the right things. We probably should be letting our FBI worry about the right things. It's come out that because of the Secretary of War's poor judgment and what cuts he decided to make, the fact that we were responsible for bombing innocent children, a school, well, he made cuts that would have ensured that we would have actually known that target was there.
That's right.
So,
there was a whole like office or center that was dedicated to keeping the maps updated.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So to minimize civilian danger to civilians, and that center was cut, and possibly as a result, they bombed a school. You've mentioned a number of issues that you feel like the administration is not handling well. As you're out campaigning, which I mean, we should mention your campaign has only been up and running for a couple of weeks, but I know you've run for office before. You know people, and I'm certain that you've been talking to folks before you've formally announced. Do the people in Racine County and Southeast Wisconsin are they concerned about the same issues you're concerned about, or what are you hearing?
Well, absolutely, and to that point, we have a representative who is not worried about the same issues that everyday Wisconsinites are worried about. He's running around talking about stocks and acting as if immigrants, well, not immigrants, but people who are non-citizens are able to vote wholesale. We know that is ridiculous. We know that that's already illegal. We know that the numbers of any of these people who have even tried to engage in this are minuscule, and the people that do engage in that kind of behavior are held to account. So, he's over here doing these weird side quests to try and get some kind of attention when everyday Wisconsinites are saying, hey, man, we're trying to pay our bills. Can you talk about that for probably 2 seconds instead of trying to placate Donald Trump, who's over here doing whatever he wants to do? We're trying to make sure we have health care. Oh, wait, you voted against that so that billionaires and corporations could have tax cuts while people who are just trying to make ends meet are struggling. You supported people not having SNAP benefits when they just wanted to feed their families. This is the kind of thing that Brian Stile and Donald Trump and the GOP are concerned with when everyday Wisconsinites have other things that they're concerned about. It's about representation. Brian Stile does not represent Southeast Wisconsin. He does not represent the 1st District of Wisconsin.
It's as I mentioned, it's a crowded field of Democrats taking maybe sensing the wave. So this is the time to jump in. What do you bring? Why are you the one who's going to beat Brian Style. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, I have a broad experience, and I understand the moment that we're in. Frankly, I'm the only candidate, to my knowledge, right now at the federal level that's running in Wisconsin that could be sent to this war. That Brian Style is not holding this administration accountable for having no sense of direction, no sense of accountability, no understanding of what their objectives will be. We've seen this movie before. It did not work out then, and it's not going to work out now. We've already seen, $11 billion spent in a little over a week. That's insane.
Yeah.
And countless lives, and to include service members. So I understand that. That is not theoretical to me. I have friends over there, and I care deeply about their safety. I have, my family is military. We will get sent over there. Where are Brian's friends? Who does he know? Does Trump have a kid that would possibly get sent over there? Because he doesn't understand these decisions. He wants to look tough. He has this fake bravado, but he would never put himself in this kind of danger. But yet he wants to send our troops over there, not understanding the harm that he's doing. And frankly, I used to be a regional sales guy. These tariffs are hurting small businesses, people that are just trying to make a living, and they're trying to open up businesses. It is hard enough to open a business without the president of the United States making it harder to pay for raw materials and goods and making supply chains completely frozen. They have closed off the Strait of Hormuz, and this administration has no idea how we're going to get it opened up, and they don't even understand what that really means. Donald Trump talking about, let the ships show some guts and just go through the strait. He has no problem putting other people in harm's way. And that's because he commands the most powerful military in the world, but he has no understanding of what he's doing with it. And I've seen their social media. They say things like no mercy, and there's all this kind of bravado. We cannot be arrogant. We cannot be arrogant. That's how we get attacked, and we won't see it coming.
They talk about it like it's a football game.
Oh, yeah.
It's really
got
gross.
A frat bro as the Secretary of Defense.
Right. We should note that one of the reasons that when you say you could get sent is that you followed your father into the Navy and went to you're alum of the Naval Academy, I believe, and still a reservist. And if I'm not mistaken, at least some of the people we've lost in this war were reservists. Is that true?
Am I right in that? They were Army reservists, and the worst part about it is they were seeking refuge away from the base that was the main target. So because these drones are a main avenue of attack for Iran, that's what they use. They still were able to get our troops.
All right. Lorenzo Santos, thank you so much again for your time. How can people follow your campaign, or how can people get engaged with you?
Yeah, please take a look at our website to learn more, lorenzoforcongress.com. We are on Facebook and Instagram. Please follow us. We have a town hall coming up April 9th at 6 o'clock p.m. in Janesville, because our current representative doesn't hold town halls, or he does, but he hides behind a telephone at lunchtime when no one's paying attention. I will do a town hall in person since we have a representative who refuses to do so.
Does he really? Does he have a conference call town halls?
Yeah, this guy's like Googling the answers because he doesn't know what he's talking about, and just doing it over a phone call during lunch and just saying, hey guys, by the way, I did one. It's ridiculous. Show up, be a man, show up. You guys, the GOP, they act like they're a bunch of alphas until it's time to actually, do the job.
Right. All right. Thanks a lot, and we'll check in again as the campaign goes along. As the primary is coming up August 11th, general election November 3rd. Again, thanks very much for your time, and best of luck.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
365 Amplified is produced and edited by me, Rob Chappell, and is a production of 365 Media Foundation, a nonprofit, local, independent media organization in Madison, Wisconsin. wherever you're listening to this right now. Hit the subscribe or follow button to get new episodes every Friday. And between episodes, get your latest news at madison365.org and follow us on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Threads. Wherever you get your news, we'll be there.